everybody. Welcome to When Calls the Hallmarkies. This is the show where we recap When Calls the Heart. We are now in season 8, and we are recapping episodes 2 and 3 of this season. Very exciting. And I am film critic Rachel Wagner, and Caroline is here.
Hey.
And Ruth is here.
Hey, nice to be here.
Yes. So we've had 2 pretty big episodes to talk about, and let's just dive in and see what we all think. This episode is called Honestly Elizabeth, and it is we are dealing with the sudden arrival of Lucas's mother Helen and her kind of baggage that she's bringing with her, and her wanting to help Elizabeth edit her book. And also we have Lee getting injured, and we have a newcomer in town, and Rosemary is kind of struggling with her role in the town, and some other things going on with Fiona and Hickam and more. So overall, Ruth, what did you think about this episode?
Oh, I thoroughly enjoyed that episode. I mean, you had a lot going on, storylines, really everybody getting great storylines, lots of drama, and it was I thought very well done. It was very nice to see Tara Rothery in this episode. I mean, she'd been introduced in the first episode, but then you got to see her, and you saw her and Elizabeth interact, and it just I think it was I thought it was fantastic, and never a dull moment.
Good one. Yeah, and we'll talk about the ending in a bit. That was pretty exciting. So, Caroline, what about you overall? What did you think of this one?
I enjoyed the episode. I was excited to see Helen and Elizabeth interact, like Ruth said, and hearing the backstory and just seeing everyone in town again. Like, it was nice. Like, the first episode was kind of like the reintroduction, and this one is like the storylines like picked up dramatically. So, in that ending, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, we will.
Oh, yeah.
We will. So it starts out with Elizabeth talking to baby Jack about his dad and how he's going to be brave like his dad. What do you think of that, Caroline? Did you like that?
It was very sweet. It was very sweet. Like, I expected Jack stories like this season, but I didn't expect it like right off the bat, you know what I mean? But I enjoyed seeing his picture and seeing little Jack talking about his dad, or not talking, but looking at his dad. I thought that was sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, it was sweet, and a nice kind of tip of the hat to the fans, I feel like, that are still sort of the Miss Jack. So it's good to know they haven't completely forgot about him. Then you have Lee and Rosemary getting a delivery from their travels to Rio, and Lee blows out his back, and it seizes up on him. And as somebody who has had my own fair share of back problems, I definitely could relate to this, because I mean, you can't even move; you're just on the ground if it seizes up like that. I don't know. If either of you ever had any back problems they've had to deal with?
During my pregnancy, yeah, I had some issues with my back, and I used to really have some issues. So yeah, I understand that it can be something. I can remember going to work with just my back being so sore I could hardly move.
Yeah, I'm lucky that I get work from home, so if I have that problem, then I'm very fortunate. But there are times when we don't do video for the podcast because my back, I can't. But Caroline, what were you gonna say?
I was like, sometimes like I have like my back hurts, but I haven't pulled my back out. But not funny, but kind of funny. My dad did pull his back out like this weekend, so I know my dad knows how Lee feels, but I have never pulled my back.
Oh.
Well, hopefully you're being a good nurse
I'm
to your
trying.
dad. Then we have like some flirting going on we've got a little bit between Robert and Allie, just a little. Nathan's getting pretty weirded out by it, and then we have a little bit of flirting between Fiona and Hickam, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of fun. You like that, Caroline?
Hickam deserves love, okay? Team Hickam.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I'm totally with you on that.
Yeah. Well, and then later on, he agrees to get his hair cut by Fiona, but it leads to all kinds of disasters.
Mm-hmm.
She cuts his ear. Is that what happens?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she nicks.
Yeah.
She nicks it. Yeah.
It reminds me of that happened one year when I was in college. A girl was trying to get experience because she was doing some cosmetology courses or whatever. So she had put out advertisements to cut hair, and she did that to somebody. She nicked their ear, and they had to go to the hospital and everything. So we're like, we probably want to take the advertisements down for a little while.
Must be our worst fear.
The thing about Fiona is starting the barbershop, and it's not really going to be a true barbershop, right? Because she's not just cutting men's hair. It's like a barbershop / beauty salon in one. Barber and beauty shop.
I think so, yeah.
But she decides to name it. Yeah, she decides to name it Nickels and Dimes, but after she spells it Nichols, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And that's after her old boss. It's a little too meta, I think. Nobody gets it. It's a little. Everyone just thinks she spelled it wrong.
I know, that was so funny.
I think she overthought that one a little too much. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I would probably be nervous about going to get my hair cut from Fiona after she nicks someone's ear. I'm nervous about getting my hair cut regardless.
I know.
Because I'm very picky about how I like my hair cut, and I don't want anybody like going all rogue on me and making it not the way I want.
That was like the scene I was looking most forward to, because we saw the preview pictures of Hickam holding his ear running out of the barbershop, and I was so ready for this, and it did not disappoint.
Yeah.
It was cute.
No, it was very funny. We have Bill talking to Nathan and about adopting Allie and how it could stir things up, and things could get crazy. And also he says that you asked Lucas for the money. You do love your niece. That's kind of a funny line. And so Nathan says that he wants to buy the land from Bill. And so there's that going on. And
where is this land?
Then we have... Oh, yeah. It's just like outside of town or something?
Yeah, but enough that he has to have supplies to go see the land. Like, I was very confused.
Yeah, I don't know. If they would still be going to Hope Valley schools and stuff?
Yeah, and in a Mountie, like, he needs to be close to town, so why would he pick a land that's that far out?
Yeah. That's true. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you also have lots of going-ons between Elizabeth and Helen. And Lucas tells Elizabeth that don't worry, her bark is much worse than her bite. And Elizabeth says she does bite. And so she tells Helen, I decided to not let my writing interfere with my life. I came to Hope Valley to be a school teacher. And that's probably not the best advice to give to your or best thing to tell your editor, but when you're trying to hopefully to get published. But she says if you can devote a tiny teensy bit of your attention to writing, maybe you'll be able to speak at the thing tomorrow at the event. And she evidently wasn't like eating or gonna leave her room or anything, but Elizabeth brings her a basket of muffins, so that was good. I don't know. What do you think, Ruth, of these early interactions between Helen and Elizabeth?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is how is Elizabeth able to have this time doing these edits, plus teaching school, plus taking care of Jack? I'm kind of I have to admit I did have that thought, and I know I'm probably overthinking it, but
Yeah.
but it's just like, my goodness. Well, of course, thankfully she has enough people to watch Jack, but I was a little bit. I was not sure how. I'm wondering if they're on school holiday or something like that, because you didn't really see her. Did I miss it? I don't
Yeah.
think she was. I don't think she's been going to the school, so I'm assuming they must be on school
Mm-mm.
holiday. That could be my only guess right now.
But didn't they have that scene with Opal saying when's school gonna be out?
Yeah, Opal asked about
Mrs.
school.
Thornton.
hmm
Yeah, it's true.
Maybe
I just
maybe
wasn't.
she
So
went
I
before
it's
wasn't
true.
school.
sure that maybe she did it before school. Maybe she did it after school. I know that's like a minor thing, but that did go through my mind.
Yeah.
Um,
No.
but I do love the I mean, I really did enjoy getting to see these interactions. I mean, yeah, Helen's really picky, but that's what you want in an editor, and especially her coming from the big city, she's going to be very um, aggressive. Maybe she comes across as being that way, or assertive. Not sure which, but I think sometimes she might be a little bit more aggressive. But you understand that because she's had to make her way in a man's world. There weren't a lot of editors, I don't think, at this time that were females. So.
Yeah, that unless it was maybe specific to a woman's publication of some kind, that would probably be the only ones. But yeah, that makes sense. And also, I mean, I think anybody of any dedication to their craft would probably be a little frustrated by somebody who's just kind of like half-see doing it, you know, like because you love what you do and you want a full dedication, not half dedication.
True.
And so I kind of see her point.
Yeah.
And so then we have Gowen offering to buy back the oil business. He says, I'm willing to get my hands dirty in ways you aren't. And to Lucas. And then later on, you have Gowen collapsing. And do you worry, Caroline, this we are going to see Gowen somehow leaving the show in some way this season?
I don't think he'll be leaving. I don't think he'll be leaving the show, but I suspect medical, like something happening medically, like later on in the season with him, just because of all the foreshadowing and stuff.
Because I know Martin Cummings has a whole other show that he's on.
I know, but he's
on Riverdale, right?
But he's been on the show since season 1. I know people leave, but I wouldn't want him to leave because I love to hate Gowen, so I need him on the show.
Yeah.
I just kind of wonder with this being, like sickly narrative, kind of like, oh, is this an arc or something? But
I think it'll last all season.
I don't know.
I think it will.
Oh yeah, definitely all season, but but yeah, so he did that pretty convincingly, I thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
It's blood pressure, I guess, is what Carson says. Yes, high blood pressure.
No wonder he has like high blood pressure, all the stuff that's been happening to him.
Right. So what do you think of Baby Jack as this little gaucho?
Oh,
That's pretty
that
cute.
was so cute. What I was, I'll be honest, what first came to my mind is I'm glad I, and this is not, this is, I'll see if I can phrase this the right way. Sometimes I get tired of our culture that wants to be so politically correct. They won't allow these really cute scenes like that. That because they'll look at that and they'll say, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
well, we can't have a scene like that because it's not politically correct and it's not it's and the thing is, it's such a cute scene. I mean, it's not like a cultural statement. It's a cute scene. It's a cute and
Mm-hmm.
but I did have that thought
Right.
because because our culture is so bombarded with it, and that's one of the things I appreciate about Hallmark. It's like they they become a lot more diversified, yes, which is great, and I love that, and I'm all for that. But we're
Mm-hmm.
still able to have those cute scenes. I'm thinking of these scenes, in other places in this culture where you can't dress up a certain way. Your kids can't dress up a certain way for Halloween or something like that, and
Yeah.
and it was great to see. So I mean, that is what came to my mind, I suppose, because I get so inundated with all the cultural stuff. But I thought it was darling. I absolutely loved it. It was so
Yeah.
cute.
I think when you're talking about a little baby, it's fine. Like
Oh yeah.
if it
Oh,
was
I
an
know.
adult, I would be,
Well, yeah,
with
yeah,
maybe like mimicking a voice, or then you're
right,
like, I'm
yeah,
getting a little more uncomfortable.
exactly, right,
But for a little baby, I think it's fine.
So when
Uh,
he
yeah.
when he
yeah.
popped
I agree.
when he
But
popped at the door, I was like, so cute.
it was
Oh my
really
goodness,
cute.
he's so
Yeah.
cute. Yeah.
And then we have some scenes between Elizabeth and Rosemary.
Mhm.
Rosemary says that sometimes at night, little Jack's laughter drifts next door, and so she she's feeling kind of sad. And then Elizabeth tells Rosemary about her interaction with Helen, and that Helen has told her that her husband has left her,
Oh yeah.
and she doesn't want Elizabeth to tell Lucas. And so there's all kinds of. I do think it was kind of funny when the way that Rosemary sort of finds a way to hear the gossip without it being gossip.
Yes, yes, yes,
That was
absolutely.
funny. And you also have Molly getting a little bit more jealous of Bill,
Mm.
and Bill's talking to Helen, and then they have this whole conversation in the street, which Bill is pretty upfront with her, like, "Do you think I'm one of your suitors or something like that?" He says,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
she says no, but then by the end he's kind of like, by the end he's kind of like, "Oh, so you do."
Yeah. 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 Bill is
I don't know what.
subtlety
Yeah,
is not one of Bill's strengths, which Bill does
right.
tell it like it is. And that was great. I love that.
Think of that, Caroline.
I love the Bill and Lord, not Johanna, but Molly.
Molly.
That's her name. I love their scenes. It was so cute. And I'm so glad Molly's having more screen time in season 8, Molly and Florence. And
Uh-huh.
it's been cute to see so far.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, it was really fun, and she's like, "You flatter yourself."
Yeah.
um, and so then Elizabeth tells Nathan, says, "You mean a lot to me, you and Allie both, but I've sensed you're hoping for more than friendship." And so she kind of lays it out there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also this talk of them, that there might be an inquiry into the Mountie dying, which I was actually kind of glad to hear, because I just felt like the whole attitude was, well, it wasn't Nathan, so we shouldn't feel sad. I'm like, wait, someone still died. Like, that's still bad.
Yeah.
and so I'm glad that they're investigating it fully, because somebody's somebody's son and husband, and it's still a Mountie.
But it
So
wasn't Nathan.
it wasn't Nathan. And but they are going to be looking into it. And you have Clara making Jesse go to Fiona, and then Faith making Carson go as well.
That was cute.
Which was funny.
Mm-hmm.
It was.
And so we get this scene with, I jumped the gun a little bit. We get this scene between Elizabeth and Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
And she tells him that she is very fond of them. And she says, "You were almost shot. You want more than I can give you. It would hurt too much to lose you the way I lost Jack." So, Caroline, what did you think about this?
That was basically an admission of love without saying "I love you" back. The way she said it, like, just my opinion. Just like the way I lost Jack. Just that was how I got that scene. It's like she wants to be with Nathan, but she's just scared.
What about you, Ruth?
First of all, I just want to say that scene was unbelievably well acted. That scene just like took my breath away because I felt like it was so well done. I mean, it was just one of those perfect scenes that you see. I mean, in my opinion, that you see in a show. I was blown away with just the way the whole scene worked. But that scene, yeah, definitely. I'm in total agreement with you, Caroline. What you said, I couldn't have said it better. I agree with you. She is afraid. She doesn't want to go through the heartbreak again, so she's not going to let herself love Nathan.
I think the hard part is that she's been so reserved that it does feel a little bit to me, a little bit like, where's this all coming from? That I kind of wish they'd maybe given a few more hints up into this point, because then when Nathan says that, he says, "I know you feel the same way I do." And she says, "I can't." And he says, "I'm in love with you." And the thing about this is that they haven't even been on a date yet. They haven't even spent hardly any time together outside of official stuff with school. And, they haven't even had a meal together. And so I feel like it's maybe a little too soon to drop the L word. And that was my only kind of like wrestling with the scene, is that I just felt like, I feel like I needed one more episode of like, they could have this, "You mean a lot to me," have this kind of thing. And then in the next episode, him say, "I love you." Felt like a lot in one scene. And I just don't know if we've had the build up necessary for that. I don't know. What do you think, Caroline?
I kind of see where you're coming from, but like all of season 7, like that, like the flirtiness between the two, like I kind of felt like maybe that kind of helped me with the, like, him saying "I love you" so quick. But the heart wants what the heart wants, like, so poor little Nathan, like, I wanted to give him a hug. I'm like, it's okay, buddy. She will love you. She will love you soon. She will.
We'll see. Ruth, do you see this as a real sort of death nail to Team Lucas?
Oh, absolutely not. No. I mean, no.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not on either team really when it comes down to it. Yeah, I'm just whatever Elizabeth wants. And actually, I'd be perfectly fine if she didn't choose somebody at the end of the season. I'm fine. It's fine with me. But I mean, I see where you're coming from.
No.
But I also think that like what Caroline was saying. Yeah, I agree that there's been enough. Yeah, she hasn't gotten to go on a date with Nathan, but there's been enough interactions, enough glances, enough things that are implied. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it as a horrible thing that this is coming up. I think there's been sometimes you have in these shows, especially maybe not in real life, but sometimes in real life, but you'll have just an instant spark between people, and I think there was an
Yeah.
instant spark between them, and they don't even have to go out on a date to make that a thing necessarily. But
Yes. Ruth. Woo.
Yeah, I wouldn't say horrible. I don't think it was horrible. I just felt like I was surprised that they went all the way to I love you.
I was surprised Nathan said it first. Like, I
Yeah.
thought it was going to be Lucas that said it first. Like, but you go, Nathan.
yeah,
Mhm.
right.
Yeah. Because I feel like Lucas and Elizabeth have had more time together,
Mm-hmm.
sort of more intimacy together.
Mm-hmm.
That most of the time that Nathan has been with Elizabeth, Allie has been there as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
So I don't know. It's interesting. But it was a very, I mean, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, the Hearties are going to absolutely
Oh
love this scene.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You should
Definitely.
Yeah.
you should have seen all the chats. I was like, people were like, "What's going to happen?" I'm like, "I don't know. Like, I have not seen the episodes. I
Right.
promise you."
Right.
Yeah, I think our friends over at Hardy's Hotline spent over an hour just talking about this scene, this final 3
Oh my goodness.
minutes. Like, wow. Oh, wow. But her main issue is that she doesn't want to get involved with another Mountie. She
Yeah.
doesn't want to risk losing her love again. And he tells her, I would quit. I would quit the Mounties.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah. That was something.
yeah. Yeah. I wonder what he would do.
Would work.
Maybe work with Bill would work.
Yeah, carve. He carves.
I guess, yeah, you could work at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He could be the sheriff.
And so,
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
is the sheriff different than the Mountie?
Well, Bill was the
I don't know.
sheriff when Jack was in the Northern Territories, and Bill was a former Mountie. So Nathan could be the
Mm.
sheriff because he was a former Mountie if he decided to leave.
Mm.
Oh.
There you go. When
I
Coastal
didn't
Heart
realize there
matters.
was, or I forgot that there was difference.
Mm-hmm.
Like, showrunners, are you paying attention? Hopefully, yes. So that was pretty exciting. And that was kind of the cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
And so overall, 1 to 10, what would you give this episode, Caroline?
Based on the whole story, probably a 7 out of 10, but the last 2 minutes, 10 out of 10.
Okay. And Ruth, what about you? 1 to 10.
I'd say an 8. Yeah, probably an 8 out of 10. Yeah, I'd go for that.
Yeah. Okay. I agree. I will also give it an 8. Okay. So let's talk about the next.
I'm sorry. Did we talk about Joseph Canfield in episode 2? Isn't that when Joseph came in briefly?
Oh, you're right. He does. You're right. He does
I thought
come
that was pretty
briefly.
significant.
Yeah. So yes, Joseph Campfield, we get to meet him. That he helps Lee with his box.
Yeah.
His crate.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know it was.
Yeah.
I know it was just brief, but I
Yeah.
think that it was a pretty significant thing because this is the first time that we are really getting a diverse a character that's finally we've got a character that is more diverse. You know, you've got diversity in Hope Valley, which we haven't had much of that at this, and so I thought that was kind of nice too. And you know, I love it. We all love Viv Leacock, of course. I know, and that was just. I'm looking forward.
Yeah.
We just want to take a break from the show just to have a little check-in before we go on in the show. So we actually want to talk about our sponsor for this week, BetterHelp. In 2021, it's definitely okay to talk about your mental health, about your happiness. Humans aren't meant to keep everything inside. It can make us sick, and therapy helps. But what is therapy exactly? It's whatever you want it to be. Maybe you're not feeling motivated right now. Maybe you need some tools to help. Maybe you've got stress, insecurity, problems in your relationship, are not dealing well with things going on in your life. And that's what therapy can be.
And whatever you need, don't be ashamed, because normal humans struggle and they start to feel better, and that's okay. It's good to start to feel better because you deserve to be happy. And now you don't have to worry about finding an in-person therapist near you to help. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers you video, phone, or a live chat session with your therapist. So you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to.
The good thing is BetterHelp is much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Join millions of people who are seeing what therapy is really about. See if it's for you, because you are your greatest asset.
So this podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Hallmarkies podcast listeners can get 10% off of their first month of Better at betterhelp.com/Hallmarkies. That's betterhelp.com/Hallmarkies.
Let's talk about episode 3. And we get to know him more in episode 3. And this episode's called From the Ashes.
Mm-hmm.
And in this episode, a geyser erupts at the oil rig, and everyone in Hope Valley drops everything to help. Nathan is summoned for an inquiry by a Mountie from his past, and Jesse takes a liking to driving Lee's motorcycle. So that's this episode. So Caroline, overall, what did you think of this episode?
I love this episode too, and it was really funny in parts, and I love seeing Jesse and the motorcycle. That was cute, and the new little trio of friends. The new trio of friends, Faith, Clara, and Fiona. I loved their friendship. It was very cute.
Mm-hmm.
And Helen,
Mm-hmm.
I liked Helen
cute.
more this episode than last episode. So it was I liked the episode.
Yes.
Yeah. What about you, Ruth? What did you think overall?
Oh yeah, I echo exactly what Caroline said. And I thought that I will add that the Carson Faith element was an interesting thing. I know we'll talk about that, but that was quite a.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'll reserve my comments, but all I'll say is that was really quite an interesting little scene there, and I was glad to see a scene like that. I really was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I agree. So it starts out with Rosemary. She's thinking of giving up the dress shop, and that her heart's not really in it. And so I guess I forgot that she was now the sole owner of the dress shop.
Mm-hmm.
It was owned originally by another woman. I can't think of her name.
Wasn't it
Dottie?
Was it? Yeah,
Dottie.
Because they mentioned Dottie.
Yeah.
And Dottie's she's like moved to a different city, and because she's sending stuff back for them to sell and stuff. So it's like they're still in cooperation, but yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm. And they've got Freedom Alls.
Yeah.
The dress shop.
Yeah.
Looks pretty stylish.
Yeah.
To me. They basically look like hanger pants.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know if Hope Valley is ready for that.
Yeah. Pretty exciting.
Well, was Hope Valley ready for ankles?
So Elizabeth tells Rosemary, says, I know I made the right choice to not be with Nathan, but I don't know if that means I've chosen Lucas. So then Lucas wants to call his father and see if he will come visit. But then he finds out about the split. And so then he's kind of frustrated and upset and everything. And he kind of held, I guess, their marriage up as a hallmark of great marriage. And so that's an interesting side to Lucas to see. And then we have Bill telling Nathan the adoption is going to be a few more weeks. But then Nathan says, "Oh, I'm not interested in the land anymore."
Nathan. Oh.
So, gives up pretty quick.
I know. Bless his heart.
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting that everybody in Hope Valley lives in those, kind of row homes, those track homes that are left over from the mine.
Yeah.
And even somebody that you'd think like Lee and Rosemary would have a fancier house because he owns the mill and everything. Get Superintendent Hargraves is in town, and he's opening an inquiry into the loss of the Mountie's life. And they want to make sure that Nathan has no culpability in what happened, which Bill is kind of upset about. But then we also find out that Nathan and Hargraves have a past, and it's some tension there. And like I said, I was kind of glad to see that they're investigating the Mountie's death, because it's still it should just be brushed aside. But this whole backstory of Nathan is kind of interesting. Yeah, I think that's going to be interesting to see if maybe this Hargraves had kind of knowledge about the risks that the Jack undertook, or or what, if there's going to be some kind of connection between all of that. And of course, if Nathan knew Jack, that's going to be upsetting for Elizabeth. But so then we also have we have things going on at the oil rig, and they're going to create this explosion to bring the oil up from deep in the ground. But like, I don't know, at least to me, it was like they had like wheelbarrows full of dynamite. Like, I'm like, they literally were just like picking it up by the bushel. like what? This was not going to end well, I think, from the very beginning. And it doesn't. It does seem to work, but then it catches on fire. And then there's all kinds of problems.
That scene, though, when it caught on fire and everything, that was like one of the best like special effects scenes that I think we've seen from When Calls the Heart. Maybe I'm wrong, but I was like, I thought it was pretty good, because lots of times we don't see special effects that often, so maybe that's what it was. But I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I looked at my mom and said, that's probably one of the best ones I've seen from the show for all these seasons, because so that was kind of exciting.
It was pretty exciting, and they definitely spent some money on this episode, which is I always appreciate. You have Jesse getting Lee's motorcycle, and he gets very excited because Rosemary doesn't want the motorcycle anymore. And this whole plot line is fun for me because my parents have kind of a similar sort of tit for tat involving, my dad loves not particularly motorcycles, but he loves dirt bike racing, like going out to the mountains and stuff, and with the motorcycle, and he loves it. And my mom is just like, I think she finally was like, do you have a good life insurance policy? Okay, fine, you can do it. But she still doesn't like it. And so this kind of back and forth between spouses about motorcycles definitely rings true for my family. Because you can get, they pretty much proven if you ride a motorcycle long enough, you will get in some kind of accident. Now it's just a question of, do you have your helmet on? How fast are you going? Whether you whether it's dangerous or not. But
I
what
love
do you
how
think, Caroline, about motorcycles?
I if you ride a motorcycle, good for you, but I don't want to ride on a motorcycle necessarily. But more power to you if you do.
Yeah.
I like being in my car with protection.
What do you think, Ruth? Are you a pro motorcycle?
It's not a big thing for me. My brother has a motorcycle. People want to ride motorcycles, I say go for it. But it's for me, I have ridden on the back of a motorcycle for a short distance. And it's great, it's
Mm-hmm.
fun, but my brother and sister in law have gone on trips, um, motorcycle trips, and I'm just like, I, for me, it has nothing to do with whether it's safe or not. It's more to do with it's not personally, it's not that comfortable. I don't think for a long period of time. But I can see where I was glad though to see them bringing the motorcycle back because it's been. I mean, I turned to my mom and I was like, we haven't seen this motorcycle since like what season was it? Season two or three or so?
Two.
When was it that Lee came? Two? I thought it was two. Yeah, that's right. We haven't seen the motorcycle since
Two.
then. Yeah. Okay, two. Yeah. All right. That's what I thought. And so it was cool to see them bring it back. And I mean, of all people, for it to be Jesse, and I thought it was fun.
Yeah, because you forget how young Jesse is sometimes, and so it was fun for him to kind of be a little bit rebellious. You have Gowen apologizes to Yost and Flo, and tells him for accusing him of reading his mail, and but he's still obviously not feeling well and not doing well. So, but then also you have Helen getting very upset with Lucas for participating in the fire fighting, and she tells him that you are all I have left, and I think that if you're going to be living in the prairie in the frontier, I guess in the early turn of the century, it's you have to accept a certain degree of risk. It is not necessarily a safe place to live. We have Hickam as sort of the hero of this whole thing. Bill gives him free pancakes for his bravery. And he says, "Oh, I was just doing my job. You don't need to send me on vacation for just doing my job." And Bill says, "Well, here's some pancakes." And that would be a pretty good reward for me. I love pancakes. So we also have Lee with the perfect chair that he's gotten, and he has to wear this brace, and he gets this chair from his travels, and it reminds him of the time he spent with his grandfather, then when he was a child making furniture, and similar sort of a perfect chair. And he says to Rosemary, he says he actually made things. There were things, and I definitely can relate to that because I mean, I make things in the sense of like entertainment. I make podcasts, I make blogs, I make reviews, I do writing, that kind of stuff I make. But I don't almost never, except for maybe if I'm cooking, I don't really make a product, you know? And I think that so many people are in that same boat. They don't really make something concrete. And sometimes you can feel like, well, I look at my life and it's all just a bunch of internet stuff that's out there. that I don't know. Could you relate to that at all?
I think that people do sometimes lose their passion for things that they did when they were younger because
Mm-hmm.
because it's it's not profitable. It's not, they get caught up in life, they get caught up in making a living, and they're told, you have to make a living, and this thing over here, doing this thing that you're passionate about, that's frivolous. You can't make any money doing that. You can't support a family doing that. So maybe Lee is trying to reconnect with that part of himself that he lost, because he's been trying to support himself, support a family.
Yeah.
And so I can relate, because until till really the last few years, and specifically this last year, I've been taking very much the safe route, just going the education route, and making that my my focus, trying to, and then you reconnect with what you really love, and I could definitely relate to Lee at that point. The thing about, you you want to really, you have that thing that you're passionate about that you haven't done in so long, and to see that just longing, oh, he wants so badly to go back and do that, and to reconnect with his past.
Yeah. Well, I think there's that. Plus, also, I think there is something to the idea of his grandfather actually produced a
Right.
product,
Yeah.
actually made something. There's like a concrete thing from
Right.
his life, and I've definitely felt that at times, that all the things that I produce are kind of more
Okay.
ephemeral.
Okay, yeah.
They're all just entertainment, as opposed to something I haven't made something. There's no like, here this there wasn't anything here, and now here's this chair that could last for generations,
Yeah.
right? And I do think we sort of miss that
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
a little bit. And so I related to that.
Yeah.
I also
Right.
thought it was, yeah. I know. I was just gonna say, I also thought it was funny that he's all like getting the perfect spot for the chair. And I don't know if you ever watched The Big Bang Theory but that was one of the Sheldon Cooper. His characteristics was finding the perfect spot to sit. And I'm like, Lee has now become Sheldon Cooper.
Oh my, that was a funny scene. Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
But yeah.
So
but yes, I understand what you're saying. I don't think I've ever thought about going back to the whole concrete thing. I don't think I've ever really thought about that, but I think it is something that we've lost some of that. I would agree, especially in today's culture, because everything is virtual and online, and it's there, but it's not the same kind of thing as having, I made this chair that's hundreds of years old, and I could pass it down to generations.
Yeah.
So yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Even every once in a while, I'll make jam. And there's something so satisfying about starting the morning with just these ingredients, and then finishing out your morning and you have all these pretty little jars of jam. Like that it feels, you have a sense of accomplishment of like, I made this.
Yeah.
So I can understand what he was saying. And so then Rosemary makes him a little workspace.
But yeah,
it was very cute.
That was a fun scene. That was Lee and Rosemary are always fun scenes. But I love the fact that still all these seasons later, we're still getting those kinds of scenes. You can always count on Lee and Rosemary to have a funny scene, but then a heartfelt scene and a loving scene. I mean, you always know that you're just going to get this great content that is going to make you feel good, and you don't walk away from Lee and Rosemary. A scene with Lee and Rosemary, you don't usually walk away feeling, oh, that was horrible, and oh, that was really, biting your nails. You don't get that. They're fun, but they're also they have so much heart in what they do.
Agreed. They're my favorite still to this day. And so then Bill tells Hargraves that they can use his office for the inquiry, but he warns him about having a grudge, holding a grudge. Helen tells Elizabeth, says, I couldn't find the joy in motherhood. That she struggled with that. And Elizabeth says that I've had moments where I couldn't find the joy in anything. And then Helen says, I don't know how to be any other way but this. And then Elizabeth says, you are an intelligent, thoughtful woman. Did you show that side of yourself to your husband? And so, between the two of them. And I mean, I think that that's something a lot of women can relate to, that they feel like they have to be a particular kind of mother or a particular kind of person, and they just don't ever really fit that mold. But
I thought Elizabeth gave her great advice. It was great to hear. It's been great to see Elizabeth maturing through the seasons, but you really see it so much. I feel like they've really brought Elizabeth to even a different level. I'm not talking about the love triangle thing. I mean, people might go off on that, but as far as her character, I really believe that they have just elevated her this season very, very much. And she's got so much wisdom, and she's matured so much. And I've just, watching Erin Krakow, she just blows me away. I mean, I always thought she was great, but to see how she's been able to take a character that I was just okay with back in, the first few seasons, and now it's a character that I so dearly love, and I know that she has brought that about. I mean, I know the writers have too, but she has really brought a depth to Elizabeth that I didn't see in the beginning.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, I definitely think that they was so focused on the relationship for so long on When Calls the Heart that you didn't get to necessarily know that much about her character separate from Jack. And so you've gotten to see that these last couple seasons,
exactly,
which I like. And so then you have, I did like when Elizabeth tells Helen, well, he doesn't bite. Baby Jack doesn't bite. And I was like, he might bite. Babies.
Yeah.
Be careful there. Right. That was funny to me. And, so you also have Ned coming in because he's hurt himself, and so then Faith and Carson have different ideas of the treatment, and this is what I was hoping for. You remember in our previous show, and I was saying that I was hoping that there would be sort of this sparring between the two of them, because now they're both doctors, and so this I really enjoyed. This was good.
Yes, I did too. Well, and I loved how Molly was caught in the middle of it. I mean, poor girl. I mean, here she is. Molly stay, Molly leave.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was also fun to see. But yes, that I was so. I mean, Carson was so out of line, and I'm so glad that Faith stood up for herself. That was good to see. And then, I mean, do I know what it means for their relationship? Well, relationships have to have problems, and they need to work this out. So, I don't mind seeing problems in relationships. I'm actually appreciate when Hallmark shows problems in relationships and shows some of these serious issues, because they don't do enough. In the past, at least, they have not done as much of that. And the stereotype is, oh, there's never any problems in a Hallmark romance. Well, I like for there to be some problems, even if they're not the massive problems. I'm not saying that it has to be somebody cheated on you or somebody. I'm not even talking about that.
Right.
Even just because it's those small things. We all know that in relationships, it is those small things. I mean, those quote unquote small things that build up over time. And Faith deserves some respect, and she deserves to be looked upon as a doctor. I mean, he's talking to her like she's his nurse again, and I'm thinking, no, she's a doctor. She doesn't need to be wrapping up the foot. That's what she did when she was a nurse. Let her be the doctor.
Right, and she says to him, I don't want to just hear that I'm gifted. I want to be treated like you mean it.
Yeah.
So I think that was really good, because you don't want to just be patronized. You want to actually actually contribute. And I think that I feel like this new showrunner, I think, is his influence. You can see in some of this new conflict that they're having. Because remember, we saw Jesse and Clara having their conflict, sleeping in separate rooms and stuff like that. So I mean, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Yep.
So Jesse ends up running the motorcycle out of gas. He's a sad walk home.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And
Yes.
so then Helen ends up leaving. So she's going to try to reconcile with her husband. And Lucas says, I thought they loved each other. And Elizabeth says, perhaps they did. Perhaps they still do. And then Lucas says, how do you lose that? And he does seem a little bit old to just be coming to this like this seems like the realization of a younger person, like a 17, 18, 19. He seems a little old to just sort of be realizing this, but nevertheless, it was sweet.
Yeah. It was. Well, maybe he had lived in this whole fantasy for so long that this is the way romance, and there's never any problems, and everybody, that you find your soulmate and you're perfect for each other, and the love just keeps growing and growing and growing through the years, and everything's perfect. Maybe we don't know if that's what was projected to him when he was growing up, but maybe it was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it kind of seems like maybe that he had that romanticized view. So it's taken this major conflict to happen, and all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, what's going? How did this happen?" And it's like his whole little world has crumbled. Of he thinking his parents had this perfect marriage, and now, you mean they might not be in love anymore? And it's. I think he's scared, and he just. I think that he has a lot more going on that within him. I mean, both he and Nathan do, but I think Lucas can project this view of I'm ultra charming, and I'm rich and handsome, and I have it all together. I have this perfect life, but I think he has a lot of issues that he's probably never dealt with, and now reality is staring him in the face. He's in love with Elizabeth, but then he doesn't know where they stand, and then he sees his parents. So anyway, he's got a lot going on.
He's probably been able to put that all sort of to the side because he's just been a confirmed bachelor, and so
exactly.
There we go. So, what would you say of this episode 1 to 10? What would you give it?
I think, I will give it. I'll go with 8.75.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'll give it 8.25, just a little higher than the other one, because I really liked that whole idea of Lee and the wanting to make something. I thought that was really good. So there we go. Let us know what you think of these episodes. Did you like them, not like them? Where were you at on them? And we would love to hear your thoughts. A lot going on. So if we didn't talk about something, then let us know what we missed. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And we lost Caroline halfway through. Sorry about that. But Ruth, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, RuthHill74. You can also and Facebook. You can find. Well, I have a blog that is Media from the Heart, and that is mydevotionalthoughts.net. And Media from the Heart is actually my Facebook page, and so you can find me and. That's great. That's basically where you can find me.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Check that out. And you can find us all at the Hallmarkies Podcast. And make sure you're following Hallmarkies Podcast all over social media. And if you're listening on iTunes, please leave us your ratings and reviews. We really appreciate that. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. And we have our patron group where we are having our patron watch along this month with Paul Campbell joining us. So that's going to be amazing. And it's only $2 a month to join. So check out the Patreon. We really appreciate that. We also have our merch store, which has tons of Hearties inspired merch. So take a look at that. Yeah, we appreciate it. So thanks so much. And we'll talk to y'all later. Bye, everyone.